Shalom, and welcome once again to Elders of GMS, giving all praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Today's topic is a continuation from last week's topic and the topic from the week before, which is entitled The Book of Revelation. Understanding the Book of Revelation. Let me say it again. Understanding the Book of Revelation. And last week we did chapters 10, 11, and 12. This week we're going to do we're going to go over chapters 13, 14, 15, and if we have time, we'll go into chapter 16, which I don't think we're going to have time to do because a lot of stuff should come out. So, we're going to go right into it.
Revelation chapter 13, verse 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. Yeah,
so we're going to go through it again, and we're going to break it down.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea.
Now the sea represent peoples, nations, tongues, kings. You can get that in Revelation 17. I believe it's Revelation 17, 15, if I'm not mistaken. Go ahead and read that.
Revelation chapter 17, verse 15. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues.
Yeah, so it's twofold. It means the peoples of the earth, because this beast is not an actual beast. It's an actual group of mighty nations. In this case, it's the Edomite nations, so-called European nations, coming together in a military, political / military unit to take down other dark nations, namely the children of Israel. So they came out of the nation. They were people. In other words, this wasn't an actual monster. This wasn't a being from another planet. And the sea also represents the actual sea, because the visions that John the Revelator saw, he was surrounded by the sea, because he was on the island. All right, and now for you to understand Revelation the 13th chapter, you would also have the same understanding for Daniel the 7th chapter, because it says the same thing. The difference between the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter, and Revelation, the 13th chapter, is that in Daniel, the 7th chapter, it speaks about these other nations, or in the name of other beasts, as being part of the dark nations and the Greeks. So this beast that John saw represented the Roman Empire, and then going forward into the future, it represents the NATO system, which I spoke about many times. The NATO system, the EU system, and America is a part of NATO, a member of NATO, and they go hand in hand with each other. America, NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and the EU, a European Union. All right? So let's read again.
It says, and I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear.
Yeah, now the leopard represents Alexander the Greek. If you go to Daniel the 8th chapter, let's go to Daniel the 8th chapter, and let's start from the top.
Daniel chapter 8, verse 1. In the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me, Daniel.
Yeah, Belshazzar represented the Babylonians, the ancient Babylonians, which were Cushites. Go ahead.
It says, even unto me, Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first. And I saw in a vision, and it came to pass, when I saw, that I was at Shushan in the palace, which is in the province of Elam, And I saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Ulai. Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had 2 horns. And the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other. And
yeah, that represents the Medo-Persian Empire. These were 2 separate kingdoms, 2 separate nations coming together as one. The Persians are the people of Iran today, because the term Iran came about, I believe it was 1935. It was either the Shah of Iran or his father that went before, I believe it was the UN, and said, I don't know if it was the 50s, I don't know the exact, you can look it up, just Google the word Iran. When did they receive the name Iran? Because I think it had something to do with them going before the UN years later and saying that we want to be called the people of Iran instead of the Persians. Well, anyway, you had the Persians, and then you had the Medes. The Medes were the sons of Japhet, which were dark-skinned people. The Persians were also dark-skinned people. They were 2 different nations. The Persians came out of the line of Shem. The Medes came out of the line of Japhet. All right, you got anything, Ak?
Yeah, this is from a website called answers.com. The question is, when did Persia become Iran? It says, during ancient times, almost every foreigner referred to the entire country as Persia until March 21st, 1935, when Reza Shah Pahlavi asked the international community to call the country Iran, a name that the people of Persia themselves used to refer to their country since the Sasanian period. Iran means land of the Aryans. The name Persia is still widely used by many Iranians, pronounced Iranian, worldwide, as well as in many books, documentary, and movies.
Yeah, they didn't actually go to the UN. The UN wasn't gathered yet. That was before the UN. But I think they, when the UN was gathered, it was when they received their seat. They received their seat under the name of Iran. So they were recognized by the international community as the people of Iran. All right? Then you had the Medes, which was one of the sons of Japhet. When you go to the Table of Nations and Genesis, the 10th chapter, it mentions the Medes. So these were 2 separate nations, 2 different nations that came together to set up a new empire. Prior to that was the Babylonians. So the Babylonians fell, and the Medo-Persian Empire came in its stead. And I said one horn was higher than the other. That represented the Persians, because the Persians became greater than the Medes. All right? You got it?
it says, Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had 2 horns. And the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. I saw...
Right, the higher came up last, which were the Persians. Go ahead.
It says, I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before him.
Read that again.
I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before him.
Why didn't it say eastward? Because the Medo-Persian Empire came from the east. It mentioned Elam. The original name of the East Indians, when Pakistani East Indians, that region, that vast region of land, was at one time known as the land of Elam. So they started that kingdom or that empire in the east, and they pushed westward, they pushed northward, and they pushed down to the south. Now,